right? So, and what is the ruling of start and finish of the fast in a day? We didn't actually deal with many topics about Ramadan today. It was just like a really good kind of, just, I suppose, just a nurturing the ruh kind of session. So, but I think that's a great question. Look, I was asked another question as well about Ramadan. I'll tackle that as well. And that was, so this is about the fast. How do we fast? And somebody had, you know, asked that, there's this whole feel of Ramadan and stuff, and they don't really, they themselves don't really feel it. Is that bad? Are they a bad person? So that's a very good question. So, firstly, fasting. I would say, when do you fast? You can go, it's absolutely fine with the differences. You can go with whether it's your family or whatever. So, if you're doing it shortly now or tomorrow, it's absolutely fine. I don't feel that one is necessary over the other. Okay, fine. What about timings? Once again, I would say you can follow any calendar that you have. You can follow your local masjid. You can follow one from your city or your country that you find online. Absolutely fine. They may have diversity in them, so you may follow one that gives you more ease. Absolutely fine. Right. What are some of the leeways or the in this? I have got a video and I explained in great detail in the last 2 years that, look, are people allowed because are people allowed to time their fasts and have time uh responsive fasts as opposed to the regular fasts? So I have mentioned, and I've got a detailed response available online. You'll find it if you search keywords on YouTube. That, yes, I do believe that fatwa is valid. Um, that if historically, and it's based going back through the Egyptian Al Azhari fatwa, going back and then being re-endorsed by many people. Um, I have said that, look, not I've endorsed the fatwa that if you historically look and you take day and night as two halves, day would then make 12 hours. So, because Arabia was pretty close to the equator, it would have been, reasonably static throughout. So, so they say anything 12 hours above is a valid fast. Now, if people were to take that because life is difficult for them, it's there's a lot, whatever reason, people have their own reasons. You see, I can't judge your reason because a particular reason of yours may be nothing to me, but maybe a reason of mine may be nothing to you. Like, I can't, we're not to judge. Allah is only to judge us. But if a person was to take that fatwa and decide, you know what, I just want, I'll tell you what, I'll have a 13-hour fast. I'll have anything from 12 hours onwards. So people may have 12, people may have 13, 14. I mean, if they go over that, they could just go with the normal timing, I guess, because that's, they're going to be about whatever, 16, whatever hours anyway. So in these situations, I feel that fatwa is valid for people who need it. How do you know you need it? Well, I'm not, nobody can judge that. If you felt you needed it and you took it, I feel it is valid. Okay. I feel nobody else can judge you. In line with that, okay, how do these timings work then? So with that, people have disagreed. Some people had said, look, why don't you just start it when everybody starts it and then you just count the hours? Fine. Some people had just said, look, arbitrarily, you could just set a time. So if people said, I don't know, let's say sunrise was at averaging, because it may vary, whatever. Let's say they set like 4 a.m. I'm just going to close my fast at 4 a.m. and I'm going to open it at 6 p.m. Fine. Or they said, I'm going to open it at 5 p.m. That would be valid according to that fatwa. Okay. Now, So it can have somewhat of an arbitrary nature that makes life easy for them. That's how I've seen those people who do that. That's how I've seen them do it. They just tend to take an arbitrary time, which is usually close to the normal sahur kind of sunrise thing, and they just stick to it. But some people I've seen, they just go with the sahur time and just count the hours forward like that. So these things are fine. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm not saying you need to do that. All I'm saying is people who do that, it's not your place to condemn them or judge them. Okay? So their fast is valid in my understanding, and it's between them and God. There's the issue, some people say that can they not fast because of certain difficulties? Sometimes there's exams, sometimes there's other things. Um, sometimes it really makes life quite difficult for them in their, there's certain people who, for example, um, even, just due to their overall health, if they're not consuming water regularly, it impacts them negatively. There's some people who, due to their work environment, just don't have that luxury to, be kind of whatever. Look, if you are in a position where you cannot fast, my first point is it is your call. Ultimately, I cannot make that call. You are, as Imam Shatibi says, faqihun nafs. You have to decide whether you are, you can do it or not. And if you feel that, this is too much for me right now, then you can choose not to fast. But what do you do instead? So the first option would be that you would make this fast up later on. If you felt that, for where you are in the world, that you can't, but I would feel most people can make it up. But if you felt for some reason, like let's say it's this health condition, like, my kidneys, I need to be drinking certain water every so many hours, then that's not going to change. Or I'm in this job and this job doesn't change. I'm in this job. In that case, I would say that you give fidya for each day that you miss. Okay. And this is based on the apparent reading of the Quran, that وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ, and as to those who are capable of fasting but don't, that what is obligatory for them. So Allah says وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ, and it's obligatory for those يُطِيقُونَ who are actually capable, as in physically they could do it. They have the physical, like if they were stretched, they could physically do it. They have the taqa. وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ fidyatun ta'amu miskin. That they then give a fidya instead, ta'amu miskin. Now I know the majority scholars interpret this verse because apparently it reads as exactly as I've told you. So they say no, there's a negative missing here. So وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ لَا يُطِيقُونَهُ, on those who are not capable, but Allah just dropped the not. So I find that a bit poor of an attempt to reconcile such an important word of the Quran. Because you're saying Allah, that he put in a positive with the affirmative where there was meant to be a negative. I mean, that's an absolute opposite. It's like me saying go, and then you say yeah, but he forgot the word, or he missed the word don't. That is exactly what they're saying here. So I feel that Allah left that in there for all time, that they will, whenever, because Islam is to reach all time and all people, and there will be a people who for some reason may need to lean in on that verse and use it as a source of mercy for them. And ultimately is Allah's Quran, it is ultimately, this is it's nobody's personal deen, it's not your dad's deen. And if people felt that dire need to lean in on it, then fine. It is there, it is a clear verse of the Quran. Now, people will say that, Mufti, by saying this stuff, you're giving people an excuse not to fast. I would say, in response to that, first of all, that's not what I'm doing. I'm just explaining the deen as it is. I'm not going to hide things which are clear verses of the Quran. That would be a hypocrisy on my part. Secondly, what I'm going to say is that, look, why does it bother you? Like, why does it? Because, look, to me, if I'm going to fast, why do I care whether the other person is not going to? I mean, sure, I would like people to, but I need to focus on my own deen. Look, that's like me saying that I'm only going to pray if everybody prays. Why? I'm only going to be a nice human being if everybody's a nice human being. Oh, I'm fasting. Why is he not fasting? Since I'm everybody should be fasting. Otherwise, why am I fasting? You're fasting because is your commitment to Allah. It is not. You see, whether he or she fasts, who cares? Okay, fine. You would like It's like I would like everybody on earth to be a good person, to be a nice person, but that shouldn't stop me from not being a good person. I shouldn't think, well, why is he not being a good person? Why should I then be a good person? See, we should focus on ourselves. It shouldn't bother me, because if it bothers me that much, then that problem lies within me. That goes to show that I've got a problem with what I'm doing. I don't even want to be doing it. And that is a problem, because if you are doing something just, God has forced me to do this, that's not how I do things personally. And I don't recommend that that be your take on your deen, that it's something you just do almost as a punishment. Because that, to be honest, that is the punishment response, isn't it? Like if, like if we're all sitting here chilling and somebody came in and said, I've got to do this, then that would be my response. Let's be real, isn't it? I would be like, but why do they get to chill then? That's because it's like a punishment, isn't it? It's like I'm doing something I don't want to do it. I completely dislike it. I want to do this. So I have a problem with what you're telling me. So I'm saying, well, either make all of us do it or don't make me do it. And that's usually to do with punishments. And fasting is not a punishment, or these things are not a punishment. Okay. So and that ties into the next point, that people would say, well, Mufti, if they fast 16, 17 hours, they really feel it. By telling somebody to fast 12 hours above. And by the way, I'm not the one who's come up with that. That fatwa has been going on for decades on end, but I just also endorse its validity. Mufti, by telling somebody to fast, I don't know, anything 12 hours forward, let's say 12, 13 hours onwards, is nothing. Somebody could just, whatever, it's piece of cake. You could start your fast at, I don't know, let's say they said somebody started it at 4 and opened it at 5. That's nothing, right? Because they didn't even really starve. They just, well, my answer to you is that the fasting was not about starving. Fasting was not about, it was about a personal commitment. So you have got the very basis of it wrong, right? So, Mufti, you have 15 minutes to have your last meal. I'm not fasting today. I'm starting it on Wednesday. I said that in the beginning. Guys, let's wrap this up. Have an awesome time wherever you are. I know you guys are not right. Oh, damn, I did say I'll mention as well. Look, this topic, if you don't find, somebody said they don't find these things very spiritual, like in the sense everybody else does. Are they a bad person? No, they're not a bad person. It doesn't, just because, look, it is a great vibe for many people, this whole Ramadan thing, or things like Hajj, or things like a community spirit. But there will be some people, maybe it doesn't create that vibe in you. Like you have introverts, extroverts, you'll have people who enjoy certain vibes, people who don't. It's not a reflection of your faith. Okay, it's not. It's just, some people may not vibe with certain kind of things. Right. So I don't think, I feel you don't need to be guilty for that. Okay. That's not a requirement of Ramadan. That's just a bonus if it happens. Some people, they don't necessarily like those things. So fair enough. That's just them. Like some person may go on Hajj and they may hate being in crowds. And therefore they don't like that feel all the way. The whole thing, they feel that, oh my God, I'm going through this. It's just hardship here, there. They don't like it at all. And everybody else says, oh, I feel so spiritual. I had a great experience. They come back from Hajj and deep down they say, to be honest, it was just a rough and tough experience. And I didn't feel so super spiritual. Does that mean my Hajj isn't accepted? No, not at all. It's not, this isn't like a drug. It isn't a feel good thing. If for some people they feel good with it, that's a bonus, but that's not how it's measured. So I hope that helps people. Take care.